pleasant good evening and welcome to the Wolverina, the Turtle Creek Stadium home of your Woodland Hills Wolverines. Tonight, Woodland Hills takes on the Plum Mustangs in a WPIAL Quad A Southeastern Conference matchup. I'm Adam Gusky alongside Fred Guy, and Woodland Hills enters this game with a record of 1-2 on the season. More importantly, they're 1-1 in the SEC, and they come off of a 38-23 win against Bethel Park. A week ago, the Plum Mustangs lost to Mount Lebanon 29-0. The Mustangs are 0-3 on the year, and they've been outscored 105-6. But Fred, the key for Woodland Hills tonight is to try to get their athletes past a very, very stingy defensive front for the Plum Mustangs. Their keys for the Mustangs thus far this season have been stopping the run. Yeah, they've been really good at stopping the run. But Woodland Hills right now, they're picking up in their running game. They've obviously did a great job last week with Miles Sanders and Harry Randall. Miles Sanders going over 100 yards. Harry Randall scoring 3 touchdowns on the ground. So, you know, this Plum defense has their hands full tonight. Another thing that we know about the Plum Mustangs is they are good at the beginning of the game, but the second 24 minutes seems to be a different story. They really struggle in the second half. Yeah, they've let up a lot of points in the second half. You know, they usually hold their opponents first half, just a couple touchdowns, and then they're within striking distance. But once that second half starts, they seem to fall apart. Well, Woodland Hills certainly has an opportunity here to even up their record in the season and, more importantly, get a winning record in the playoff hunt, as right now they sit one game behind the Upper St. Clair Panthers for first place in the Southeastern Conference.
Fans, be sure to visit the United States Army station located.
And again, we welcome you to the Wolverina. Woodland Hills across the field in their home black uniforms. Black jerseys, black pants, turquoise numerals with the white trim, turquoise helmets with the black ears and stripes. Near sideline are the Plum Mustangs. Plum wears their road white jerseys, gold pants, purple numerals, and the gold trim and the purple helmets with the word Plum and a Mustang emblazoned upon both sides. Nice evening here in Turtle Creek, especially for mid-September. It's a little humid, but a good temperature, and it should drop as the evening progresses, but expect some cramps because things have gotten a little bit cool, and now that it's heated up a bit, these guys may need to make sure they stay hydrated, and that's a key for both sidelines. And it's also a key, Fred, because we saw a lot of Wolverines not in uniform for tonight. A couple of notable players that are not in uniform for Woodland Hills: Trayvon Mathis and James Rooney, as well as Diamond Johnson. All of them injured last week and not playing this week against the Mustangs. Yeah, and certainly Jim Rooney is going to be the biggest key. I think the biggest loss for Woodland Hills on that offensive line, because he calls out all the blocking assignments for the offensive line. So that, and he's a senior as well. So taking away that leadership is going to hurt the Wolverines. I can't really say hurt the Wolverines, but it's going to put them at a little bit of a disadvantage. Donald Cassidy will kick off for Woodland Hills, left to right across your radio dial, internet browser, or television screen. Two Mustangs stand back at their own 5-yard line, and we are underway in Turtle Creek, PA. This ball will carry to the 4-yard line on the return for Plum is Zachary Kuhn. Kuhn finds himself a crease to the near sideline, 30, 35, 40, 45. He fumbles the football, and Woodland Hills recovers it at the 45-yard line. So Zachary Kuhn with an awesome return for the Plum Mustangs, and it's all for naught. It is stripped away. I think McLean had the strip, and the recovery for the Wolverines comes from Jahad Brown, and it'll be 1st and 10 for Woodland Hills at the 45-yard line. Yeah, Donald Cassidy did a great job of slowing number 30, Zach Kuhn, up, and McLean just came and stripped. Didn't see him behind him, got the strip. A good recovery by Jahad Brown. So Woodland Hills with the football at their own 44-yard line. Fumble happened right around the midfield stripe, and it'll be 1st and 10 for the Wolverines at that spot. 11:50 to play in the first quarter. And the officials ask for a timeout, and I'm not exactly sure why. Let's check in with our official.
Woodland Hills.
And Woodland Hills calls a timeout early, actually before they run an offensive play for the 2nd time in consecutive weeks. It's scoreless 10 seconds into this football game. You're tuned into the Wolverines, the Mustangs on the Woodland Hills Football Network. First play from scrimmage, pistol formation. Sanders behind Randall. Sanders takes the handoff into open field, 50, 45, 40, 35, 30, and inside of the 30 to the 28-yard line. And a quick start for Woodland Hills. They get the takeaway, and then a big burst by Miles Sanders deep into Plum territory. And I'm not sure if that was a designed handoff by Harry Randall to Miles Sanders, but it looks like Plum had a safety or a corner blitz coming on, and then Harry Randall saw that blitz and just gave the ball to Miles Sanders, and Miles Sanders just burst through the line.
Sanders.
28-yard pickup on the play for Miles Sanders. On his first carry, 3 receivers to the near side right. Snap goes a little awry. Harry Randall's going to go straight up the middle, inside of the 20, inside of the 15, still on his feet. 10, 5, end zone, touchdown, Woodland Hills. 2 plays in, and the Wolverines score on 2 big runs, both covering 28 yards.
And that was an excellent run by Harry Randall, who kept his balance after getting hit around the 10-yard line. Just shrugged it off and walked himself right into the end zone.
So 2 runs, one by Sanders, one by Randall, both covering 28 yards, and Randall's is a 28-yard TD. That is his 4th touchdown of the season. He had 3 a week ago. Fumbled one into the end zone. It was recovered by Dan Gibson for the 1-yard TD. Cassidy on to attempt the PAT. Good snap, good hold, kick up. And that kick by Donald Cassidy is good, and with 11:22 to play in the first quarter, it's Woodland Hills 7 and Plum 0. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Mustangs on the Woodland Hills Football Network. A 28-yard run by Miles Sanders, followed by a 28-yard touchdown run by Harry Randall. And 2 plays from scrimmage into this football game. It's Woodland Hills 7 and Plum 0. And what's impressive to me, Fred, on that run by Harry Randall is how he was tripped up at the 15, put that hand down, gathered himself, and was able to gallop into the end zone for that touchdown.
Yeah, it just shows his athleticism. He's able to take a hit, put his hand down, regain his balance, and get some speed very fast to get himself into the end zone.
Donald Cassidy on to kick off after kicking the PAT. And he'll boom into this one. It's a low lining kick. Slips through the hands of an up man and into the hands of William Irvin. And Irvin comes to the near side. He is hit after sneaking past a couple of Wolverines. Deshaun Osbrook's in on the tackle for Woodland Hills, as is Art Tompkins. And leading the way for the Wolverines is Devin Nixon. It'll be 1st and 10 for Plum with the ball at their own 34-yard line.
Yeah, and this is not a new story for Woodland Hills to be up on an opponent. If I recall correctly, they've had leads on first drives each of the first 4 games. So what they need to do is make sure that they're consistent in defense, playing defense and holding these Plum Mustangs to negative or very little gains.
I backfield behind quarterback William Fuhrer. The Plum Mustangs QB. Receivers to either side. Hard count by Fuhrer. Loses the snap. Picks it back up. Hands off. The ball carrier is Nathan Turchik. And Turchik with a 9-yard pickup, slipping past Wolverines all the way up to the 43-yard line.
And this is what Woodland Hills doesn't need to do. They do not need to give the Plum Mustangs any confidence, especially in the running game. Woodland Hills has had some issues with, run defense in the past couple of games, certainly against McKeesport, and a little bit in the second half against the Bethel Park Blackhawks.
2nd and 1.
So the Mustangs come out of the huddle facing a 2nd down and 1 with the ball at their own 43. Plum will reset, moving the tight end from left to right. High backfield. Snap bobbled again. It'll go to the fullback this time, and it looks like it's enough for the 1st down. And again, the ball carrier is Nathan Turchik, and this time Turchik lines up at fullback and picks up 2. So 2 carries and 11 yards for the 2-way back for the Plum Mustangs.
And that's a great job by the Plum Mustang offensive line to just keep opening holes for Turchik to find those 1st downs.
1st down and 10 for Plum. The ball at their own 45-yard line. Shotgun formation for Fuhrer with sidecars to either side. 2 receivers right, 1 to the near side left. Snap a little high, handoff goes to Myers. Myers over right end. Picks up 2 yards before being brought down. Tackle on the play by Devin Nixon. And it's 2nd down and 8 for Plum.
And the Plum Mustangs are going to show a lot of offensive plays throughout the course of the game. Show different looks, different formations to try to keep this Woodland Hills defense on their toes.
Matt Morgan, new head coach for Plum, and a very new staff for the Mustangs. High backfield behind Fuhrer, who steps under center with a receiver to either side and a tight end to his right. Counter comes to the near side. Woodland Hills sniffed that one out. Deshaun Osbrook's in the backfield. Also in there, making the stop for the Wolverines, is number 38, Jordan Lee. A loss of 3 on the play, and it's 3rd down and 11.
Yeah, and like you said, that initial hit was made by Deshaun Osbrooks, and it wasn't a run blitz by Osbrooks. He just read that the guard was pulling, found a lane, and just buried the running back for Plum in the backfield.
And that ball carrier, I think, was Kenneth Hiddeshoe. Not 100% sure. It was the 30 number for the loss of 3. 3rd down and 11. Fuhrer looks to his left, throws to his left. The pass is complete, and into open field goes that receiver, Patrick Crossy. And Crossy is brought down inside of the 40 to the 39-yard line. An offensive lineman lost his lid for the Plum Mustangs, so he'll have to come off for a play. But more importantly for Plum, it's a 1st down, and they're inside of Woodland Hills territory at the 39.
And Crossy made an excellent catch on that play. Very good concentration, because as the ball was coming into him, it looked like Harry Randall was looking to bat the ball away from him.
18-yard pickup on that play. First pass attempt and completion for Fuhrer. Fuhrer this time hands off, and head over heels goes Nathan Turchik. A pickup of 1 to the 38-yard line, and it's 2nd down and 9 for the Plum Mustangs. And Fred, I'll tell you one thing, this Woodland Hills defense, they may have given up some yards thus far, but they're hitting.
Oh yeah, they're flying around the ball. Deshaun Osbrooks, who made the tackle on that last play, is just sniffing out the offensive or the run offense for Plum, because he seems to be in on every tackle for Woodland Hills against their run.
High backfield behind Fuhrer, receivers to either side, tight end to his right. Hard count by Fuhrer. And he is hit as he hands the football off. But taking that hand off is Turchik, and he will pick up positive yardage to the 36-yard line, a pickup of 2. And for the 2nd time, it's Eric Trenz who loses a lid. 2 offensive linemen lose their helmets. Buckle the chin straps, folks. So pickup of 2 there for Turchik. He now has 4 carries for 14 yards. 7:05 on a rolling clock in the first quarter. Woodland Hills up 7-0. 3 receivers to the right of Fuhrer, a sidecar to his left, and a receiver to the near boundary. Fuhrer off of a silent count. He's pressured. He's wrapped, eludes the first man, and is sacked by the second. He got away from Devin Nixon, but a Kyra McLean stops him in the backfield, 4 yards deep. A loss of 4 makes it 4th and 11, and the punt unit has to come on for the Mustangs.
Yeah, and Dixon and McLean both play on the offensive edge or defensive line edges for the Woodland Hills Wolverines. So they just had, you know, I'll meet you in the backfield type of play. But a good job by Nixon to slow him up, and a great job by McLean to clean up the play, I should say.
Loss of 5 actually on the play brings up 4th down and 12 at the 41-yard line. A flag flies as this sky-high punt will take a Woodland Hills bounce at the 20 and will be down by the Mustangs around the 21-yard line. And let's see what this flag is along the far boundary.
That ball takes a slight Wolverine bounce. Woodland Hills will take over.
And it looks like the official is asking for a Woodland Hills captain.
Illegal formation against the white. Captain.
So the illegal formation penalty against Plum. And Woodland Hills has a choice here if they're going to make the Mustangs re-kick or if they'll take the ball at the Mustang 21. Harry Randall comes out to talk to our referee, Chuck Chamberlain, our referee, our umpire, Jay Angus, linesman Mike Burrell, line judge Rick McCleary, side judge Scott McNeary, and Ed Farzati, I believe, Farzati, excuse me, is our back judge.
And it looks like Woodland Hills has decided to take the penalty and have Plum kick again.
Well, anytime you have the opportunity to punt it and put the ball in the hands of Harry Randall, it's a good decision. The punter for Plum is Zachary Nolan. Nolan stands at his own 41-yard line. Snap high, slips through Nolan's hand. The Wolverines go after it. Nolan falls on it, lost it for a minute. Woodland Hills grabs a hold of it. No, Nolan will have the fumble recovery. Another flag is down. But if it's against the Mustangs, I assume Woodland Hills will decline and take the ball at the Plum 26-yard line, as it does appear again to be against the Mustangs.
Against Plum.
So the formational penalty against the Mustangs will be declined.
Penalty is declined. First down, Woodland Hills.
So 1st and 10 for Woodland Hills with the ball at the Plum 26-yard line.
Great decision by Coach Novak to make them punt again. After that first penalty, looks like the ball just got away from the punter, and Woodland Hills just did a great job of scrambling 5 or 6 guys to get back there to, so to speak, tackle the punter.
So the fumble recovery back at the 26. The ball was snapped from the 46-yard line, so that's
1st and 10 Wolverines.
4 and 4 is 8, 28-yard loss on the play. Shotgun formation, sidecars to either side as Randall steps up into the pocket. Feels some pressure, he'll be hit from behind, and then a trio of Plum Mustangs will come in and clean up the play.
Randall wrapped up in the backfield.
In on the play was Zachary Nolan, who was just responsible for the big loss on the errant snap by the Plum Mustangs. And the big loss by Randall brings up 2nd down and 20 with the ball at the 36-yard line.
Yeah, give a lot of credit to the Plum Mustang defense of staying disciplined, especially in the secondary. They had the receivers for Woodland Hills all bottled up. Harry Randall had nowhere to go. And then as he was trying to run, great job by the Plum Mustangs to get him in the backfield for a loss.
Handoff will go to Miles Sanders. Cut back inside of the 25-yard line where he will be brought down. They're going to mark him down just inside of that 25. A pickup of 11 brings up 3rd down and 9.
Yeah, good job of Miles Sanders of just taking that ball, finding a lane, and just exploiting it as fast as he could. I mean, his speed is so deceptive because he's getting bigger as he gets a little bit more mature, but he is still very fast.
Put on about 2 inches and 10 pounds in the offseason, did Miles Sanders. He's up to 6 feet and 180. Shotgun with sidecars to either side next to Randall, 2 receivers left. Handoff will go to Joel Shaw. He tries to bounce off of Plum Mustangs, and he'll just get back right near the line of scrimmage. Maybe a loss of a hair on the play, and that brings up 4th down and about 9 for the Wolverines.
And Joel Shaw is a bruiser of a running back, 6'2", 240 pounds. I believe that's his first carry of the season, but, I mean, the Plum Mustang linebacker just stood in the hole, stood him up a little bit. The rest of the team came and got him for a loss.
We saw Shaw running an H-back position a week ago, caught a pass, a big pass on a big touchdown drive that ended up being the deciding factor in the Woodland Hills football game against the Bethel Park Blackhawks. 4th down and 9 for Woodland Hills, ball at the 25. 2 receivers right, 1 to the far boundary left. Wolverines going for it here. Randall looks to his right, throws to his right. It is complete to Art Tompkins out of the backfield, and he will be brought down shy of the 1st down marker. A turnover on downs, and it will be 1st and 10 for the Plum Mustangs, as Tompkins came up 1 yard short. An 8-yard pickup, but the Wolverines needed 9.
Yeah, give credit to the Plum Mustang defense of bending but not breaking after, you know, a crucial turnover on downs or fumble recovery, however you want to see it. But Plum did a great job of not getting too nervous and not letting Woodland Hills get themselves into the end zone.
So again, a turnover on downs for Woodland Hills, and Plum will take the ball with 3:30 to play at their own 17-yard line. So the change in field position is only 9 yards for the Plum Mustangs, and they have the ball back. High formation is Fuhrer, looks to his right. A lateral pass is batted. It's to the ground, and it is going to be called an incomplete pass. From our vantage point, it looked like a lateral pass, but the referee, who's a lot closer than us, says it's an incomplete forward pass, and it's 2nd down and 10 for the Mustangs.
And that ball was batted away by big Eggleston, number 75 on that last play. He just saw that that they were going to throw a flare route to the outside. He just put his big paws up and, was able to bat that pass down.
James Eggleston, a man among boys, 6'2", 285 pounds, came in from North Carolina, immediately hit the bench press and impressed everybody. I heard stories about him in the spring. Shotgun formation. Sidecars to either side of Fuhrer, 2 receivers to his right. High snap, draw, handoff, and the ball carrier again is Nathan Turchik, and Turchik will pick up a couple of yards to the 20, make it a gain of 3, and it's 3rd down and 7.
It's a good job by quarterback Bill Fuhrer, who's doing a great job of handling these missed snaps. Looks like they're coming in a little high. Even when he's under center, it looks like he's not getting the ball as cleanly as he should.
So the Mustangs out of the huddle, and they're going to actually give a gain of 2 to Turchik instead of a gain of 3. The initial spot was the 20, and they move it back to the 19. Shotgun formation again, hard count. Fuhrer looks to his left, throws to his left to Kyron McLean. Puts out the big left hand and swats it to the floor. McLean was being blocked out of there by Kyle Tomastis, but did a nice job, put that left hand out and swatted it to the ground for the incomplete pass, and that brings up 4th down and 8.
Yeah, good job by McLean of just being aware of where he was at and how the play was developing. And as he saw the quarterback about to turn and throw towards his way, he just put his left hand up. So he initially went up with his right hand, but actually swatted it down with his left.
Cast on the right hand, big paw to the left. Snap again high, but this time the Mustangs will gather it in. A sky-high knuckling punt takes a Mustang bounce at the 45-yard line. It'll carry into Woodland Hills territory to the 48, where it will be picked up by William Irvin. And it'll be 1st and 10 for Woodland Hills with the ball at the Plum 49-yard line. But the Wolverines have certainly had their opportunities with field position. 3 drives thus far today for Woodland Hills. This one will be the 3rd, in fact. And Woodland Hills has not started any worse than their own 44. .234 to play in the 1st quarter. Woodland Hills is up 7-0. Adam Gusky, Fred Guy on the call for you all across the Woodland Hills Football Network. Pistol formation, Sanders behind Randall. Sanders takes the handoff, comes to the near side 50, 45, dances to the 40, to the 35, out of bounds near the 30-yard line, and a flag will come in. I think Patrick Crossy got a hold of Miles Sanders' face mask, and then we may be tacking on 15 to the end of this one. Check in with our referee.
Personal foul against the white, 15 yards.
A 15-yard penalty tacked on to the end of that run. And this ball will move from the 31 to the 16.
Yeah, let's just assume that was a face mask call. The referee didn't give us any indication as to why it was a personal foul, but at the end of the play, it just looked like Crossy had a handful of the face mask of Miles Sanders.
Take a look on our TV replay. It was a late hit. Mustang came in after Sanders was down. It was Hunter Fink, I believe, that came in late. Again, the pistol formation with Sanders behind Randall. 2 receivers to the left of the formation, a tight end to the right. Hard count by Randall. Good snap. Option to the left. Randall's going to keep it. Tries to step around a Mustang at the 15, and he'll surge his way forward just across that 15-yard line to pick up of about 1. Brings up 2nd down and 9. And Harry Randall, 3 carries today for 19 yards. His long was a 28-yard touchdown, but he lost 10 on a sack on the Wolverines' last possession.
Yeah, I thought that was going to develop a little bit faster than it did, but what the Plum Mustangs secondary and cornerbacks, or I'm sorry, safety and cornerbacks did was they just closed on Harry Randall. They converged on him, as a matter of fact, because he got some good blocking out by Joel Shaw, but you know, good job by the Plum secondary to hold him for minimal gain.
Pistol formation, receivers to either side. Randall looks to the near side right. It is complete. On the reception, Dante Broadus. Broadus powering his way. No signal yet. And they're going to say he's down at the 1-yard line. Dante Broadus with a 15-yard pickup inside of the 1-yard line, and it's 1st and goal for the Wolverines.
Yeah, it looked like, Adam, it just looked like that was just a 5-yard hitch or a 5-yard post to Dante Broadus, but once he caught it, he had somebody on him initially, but just started powering his way towards the end zone. And I don't understand why they didn't give him the touchdown on that one.
From our angle, it certainly looked like he got the ball across the plane to the goal line. So the Wolverines will come to the line of scrimmage, which is inside of the 1. And a timeout is called, I believe, by the Plum Mustangs. And Plum will take their first timeout of the first half.
Timeout, Plum.
And the score is 7-0, Woodland Hills over Plum. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Mustangs on the Woodland Hills Football Network. It'll be first and goal for Woodland Hills inside of the Mustang 1-yard line. Just under a minute to play in the first quarter. Woodland Hills on top of Plum 7-0, but they can add to that here. Previous play was a 14.5-yard pass from Harry Randall to Dante Broadus. Pistol formation, Sanders behind Randall. Shaw motions from right to left. He'll hand off. Sanders right into the end zone for the Woodland Hills touchdown.
Randall hands off to Sanders. It's mounted away into the end.
Nothing fancy there. Just a carry over left tackle and into the end zone went Miles Sanders. And with just under a minute to go in the first quarter, it's Woodland Hills 13 and the Plum Mustangs 0.
Yeah, a great job by the Woodland Hills left side of the offensive line. It's just paving the way for Sanders because, like you said, nothing fancy. Got some cut, got some seal blocks, and then Miles Sanders just walked right into the end zone untouched.
Cassidy on to attempt the PAT, and that PAT sails a little wide to the left, no good, and it's 13-0. Woodland Hills on top of Plum with 55.5 seconds to go in the first quarter. You're tuned in to the Wolverines and the Mustangs on the Woodland Hills Football Network. And we welcome you back to the Wolverina. Woodland Hills on top of Plum 13-0. Adam Gusky and Fred Guy on the call for you. The scoring play, a half-yard touchdown run by Miles Sanders. And it was pretty much elementary as he took the handoff from Harry Randall and had a huge hole over left tackle. The Wolverines just blew it wide open for that touchdown.
Yeah, and Woodland Hills is doing a great job of taking advantage of the opportunities they've been given by Plum Mustang. You know, one fumble, one snap over the head. Woodland Hills is doing a good job of capitalizing on their momentum.
Cassidy will boom into this one, and it will carry inside of the 5 to the 4-yard line where it is dropped by Zachary Kuhn. Kuhn now comes to the near side to the 15, to the 20, to the 25, and he is ankle tackled by a Kyra McLean. A flag is down at the 18-yard line, most likely against the Plum Mustangs. But again, the special teams tackle is made by a Kyra McLean who had the forced fumble on the first kickoff of the football game. And let's check in with our referee.
Blocking in the back against the white, 10 yards.
So it'll be an illegal block in the back. 10 yards from the spot of the foul, which is the 18-yard line. The officials are going to confer here just to make sure that it's not a half the distance to the goal line penalty. Either way, it's going to back up Plum from their own 18-yard line.
And Plum just keeps shooting themselves in the foot. I mean, they've had 3 good returns so far to set themselves up in some good position, but a fumble and this penalty negates anything that they're doing, right? Anything that they're doing to try to get some momentum.
46 seconds to go in the first quarter. Plum with the football at their own 8-yard line. And after the penalty, high backfield behind Fuhrer. Hard count by Fuhrer. Slot to his right. And he lost the football at the 1-yard line. And it'll roll into the end zone for a Woodland Hills touchdown. The Wolverines fell on top of it. Chris David with the fumble recovery for the TD.
And I believe that fumble was caused by Deshaun Osbrooks, who just blitzed. I think that was a design blitz, actually, but he found his way into the backfield and caused some havoc, and which led to a Woodland Hills touchdown.
Didn't look like Fuhrer had the snap cleanly. Then as he looked to hand it off, the running back, I believe, was undercut by a Wolverine. The ball was fought for. It rolled into the end zone, and Chris David dove upon it for the Woodland Hills touchdown. And with 40 seconds to go in the first quarter, Woodland Hills on top, 19-0. Cassidy on to attempt the PAT. Randall the holder. The snap is good. The hold is good. The kick is up, and that kick is good. And with 39.8 seconds to go in the first quarter, it's Woodland Hills 20 and Plum 0. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Mustangs on the Woodland Hills Football Network.
39 seconds.
A fumble between William Fuhrer and Nathan Turchik. The ball was fought for and into the end zone. It rolled where it's recovered by Chris David. The PAT by Cassidy up and in. And with 40 seconds to go in the first quarter, it's Woodland Hills 20 and Plum 0. And the wheels seem to be falling off a bit here for the Plum Mustangs, Fred.
Yeah, it's actually good to see Chris David back in action after missing last week with with an injury that he sustained in the McKeesport game. So it's really nice to see him back and making some plays for this Woodland Hills defense.
We have to assume it was a concussion. David was down for quite a while against the McKeesport Tigers and was not in uniform a week ago. Cassidy will boom into this one, and it'll carry to the near side, and on the return is Carlosino for the Plum Mustangs. Carlosino escapes one Wolverine and then is hit by a Kyra McLean. Also in on the tackle for Woodland Hills is Mike Nash, and it'll be 1st and 10 for Plum at their own 24.
And Plum's got to do something to get themselves back into this ball game. Down 20-0. It's not even the end of the first. It's not even, we haven't even started the second quarter yet. They just got to find some sort of will to get themselves a sustained drive and try to get some points on the board.
So it's 20-0, Woodland Hills on top of Plum with 33.2 seconds to play. Shotgun formation, double tight ends. And a timeout is asked for, I believe, by Woodland Hills.
Woodland Hills, their second.
So the Wolverines use their second timeout of the first quarter, and we'll take a break as well. It's 20-0, Woodland Hills on top of Plum. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Mustangs on the Woodland Hills Football Network. 20-0, Woodland Hills on top of Plum with 33.2 seconds to go in the first quarter. Adam Gusky and Fred Guy on the call for you from the Wolverina in Turtle Creek. Pivotal Southeastern Conference matchup, especially for Woodland Hills, who's trying to keep pace near the top of the SEC. Fuhrer off of play action, straight drop back, looks to the near side left, and the pass intended for Andrew Soxman is incomplete. On the coverage for the Wolverines is Mike Nash, and that incomplete pass brings up 2nd down and 10.
It was a great coverage by Nash. I actually thought the wide receiver from Plum might have pushed off a little bit, but there was no call by the referees.
After the first pass was completed by Fuhrer for 18 yards, he has not completed a pass in his last 3 attempts. I formation behind Fuhrer. The tailback is Turchik. Receivers to either side. Woodland Hills shows blitz. And a broken play. Fuhrer tries to make something happen himself, but Kyra McLean says no, and it will be a loss of 2 on the play, and it's 3rd down and 12 for the Mustangs.
Yeah, like you said, Adam, it looked like a busted play. It looked like Fuhrer was going to his right with his handoff. Didn't see anybody. Running back went to his left. Good job by the Woodland Hills offense of sustaining, keeping him in the pocket and not letting him break loose to get in the game.
And that will be the final play of the first quarter. We head to the second frame with the score: Woodland Hills 20 and Plum 0. You're tuned in to the Wolverines and the Mustangs all across the Woodland Hills Football Network. Adam Gusky and Fred Guy on the call for you. The Plum Mustangs face a 3rd down and 12 with the ball at their own 22-yard line. And for the first 12 minutes of action, Fred Guy, it's been all Woodland Hills.
Yeah, offensively, they have just done a great job of taking advantage of all the miscues by Plum. Defensively, they started off a little slow, but I think they're starting to get their feet underneath them, and they're making a tremendous plays for the defense.
Mustangs have made a lot of mistakes, and Woodland Hills has capitalized on most of them. Hard count by Fuhrer, jumping into the neutral zone. Goes the Woodland Hills defensive lineman, Laquan Bowden. Bowden 5'8", 194.
Against Woodland Hills, 5 yards, still 3rd down.
So after the penalty, it'll be 3rd down and 7 for the Mustangs with the ball at the 32. Shotgun formation, snap a little high for Fuhrer. He'll look to his left, he will throw to his left, and that pass is in and out of the hands of the receiver, Patrick Crossy. Crossy had it right in his breadbasket and dropped the football, and it brings up a 4th down and 7 for the Mustangs at their own 27.
And that was a really dangerous throw by Fuhrer to Crossy, because Art Tompkins was pretty much playing center field, and when he saw that ball was going towards Crossy, he just made a beeline, and I think might have disrupted the concentration of Crossy on that last play.
5 seconds into the second quarter, the Mustangs look to punt. One snap by Nolan sailed over his head. One was high, but he was able to hang on to it. This one a little to his left. He will get it away. end-over-end punt that will sail out of bounds along the far boundary, and the official on that far side has got himself a long walk. I'm going to say it goes out of bounds at the 47. Well, not where I thought it was going to be by any stretch of the imagination, but it'll still be 1st and 10 for the Wolverines with great field position.
Yeah, I thought that ball went out of bounds around the 50-yard line. But that's why we're up here and they're down there.
So Woodland Hills will get the ball to begin the first drive of their second quarter with 11:50 to go in that second frame.
1st and 10, nose of the football on their own 47.
Again, the ball at the 47. Shotgun formation, sidecars to either side of Randall. He'll look to his left, step up into the pocket, running to the near sideline. He's got enough for the first down as he steps out of bounds along the near boundary at the 42. It looked like he was going to be off to the races, but the official along the near boundary says Randall nipped the sideline at the 42. It's an 11-yard gain. 1st and 10 for Woodland Hills at the Plum 42-yard line.
Yeah, Woodland Hills dipping into the playbook from last year with 2 sidecars, 1 bruising back, 1 fast back, but Harry Randall didn't see anybody open downfield. He just took off, and there was a great restraint by Chris David on that last play to not hit anybody as Harry Randall was going past him.
Shotgun formation, sidecar to the left of Randall, receivers to either side, a pair of them to either side. In fact, handoff goes to Joe L. Shaw, the big bruising fullback, rumbling inside of the 25, and he'll be brought down at the, inside of the 30, and he'll be brought down at the 26-yard line. A big pickup there for Joe L. Shaw of 16 yards.
Yeah, 6'2", 240. And he's got great speed. Shows a little bit immaturity when it comes to holding the ball, but that was a great job of just moving the pile along for a first down.
Shaw, just a sophomore. We talked about his size, and we saw him with the big catch a week ago as he was running the H-back. This week he's lined up as more of a traditional fullback. Twins to either side for the Wolverines. Shaw, the lone back to the right of Randall. Randall sends a man in motion. It's Sanders who will motion into the formation, take the handoff on the end around to the far sideline. 25-20, 15, 10, 5, end zone. Touchdown, Miles Sanders on the end around.
And off to Sanders, who turns the corner.
Second TD of the game for Miles Sanders. And Woodland Hills is on top, 26-0 with 11:04 to play in the second frame.
A great job by the wide receivers of Woodland Hills on that jet sweep. He just came across in the formation. Harry Randall gave him the ball, got some good blocking downfield by the wide receivers, which enabled him to walk right into the end zone.
Donald Cassidy on to attempt the PAT. Cassidy has made 2 of 3 attempts thus far today. Decent snap, nice hold, kick up, and that kick by Donald Cassidy is good. And with 11:04 to play in the second quarter, it's Woodland Hills 27 and Plum 0. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Mustangs on the Woodland Hills Football Network.
Tapped off by Sanders, run into the end zone.
27-0, Woodland Hills on top of Plum with 11:04 to play in the second quarter. Miles Sanders with his second touchdown of the game. This one a little bit prettier, covering 26 yards. He said it, Fred, the jet sweep, took the inside handoff as he was motioning from left to right, turned the corner at the line of scrimmage, burst through a hole at the 20-yard line, and off to the races went Sanders for yet another touchdown.
Yeah, he got a great kick-out block by Joe L. Shaw on that last play. Joe L. Shaw just saw a guy, wanted to hit him, and hit him hard.
5 carries, 86 yards for Miles Sanders to go along with a pair of touchdowns. Cassidy to kick off. Cassidy getting a lot of work tonight as he will boom into this one. End-over-end kick. Carries inside of the 10 to the 8-yard line. Again on the return is Carlosino. Carlosino straight up the middle of the field, and he is brought down as he crosses the 30-yard line.
Cassidy's kick is fielded by Carlosino near the 9-yard line.
And it will be 1st and 10 for the Plum Mustangs at their own 33-yard line.
Yeah, if there's been one bright spot for the Plum Mustangs today, it's been their kick return team. They've done a great job of giving the Plum offense adequate field position to start their drives.
They've had some good returns. We saw a week ago Bethel Park had some good returns as well. Thus far in those 2 games, though, it hasn't come back to bite the black and turquoise. Trips to the right of the formation as Fears in the shotgun with a sidecar to his left and a receiver to the far boundary. Fuhrer looks to his left, throws to his left, the pass in and out of the hands of Zachary Nolan, and it brings up 2nd down and 10, and that's 5 straight incompletions for Fuhrer.
The one thing I do like about Fuhrer is he does have a strong arm. He can make pretty much any throw. He can throw downfield. That last play, wide receiver just lost concentration, couldn't hold on to the ball.
So 2nd and 10 for the Plum Mustangs with the ball at their own 33. 10:55 clock stopped here in the 2nd quarter. Adam Gusky and Fred Guy all across the Woodland Hills Football Network, radio, television, internet. We thank you for joining us no matter where you are. 2 receivers to the right of the formation. Fuhrer straight drop back. He feels pressure as he rolls to his right. Dumps it off. The pass to Nolan is low. Nolan will gather it in as he crosses the 35 to the 36-yard line. A modest pickup of 3, and it's 3rd and 7 for the Mustangs.
And the one thing I like that Woodland Hills is doing is they're mixing up their defensive fronts. They're going anywhere from a 3-4 to a 4-3. But what they're also doing is they're mixing the alignment of the players. I think that last time James Eggleston came off of the defensive end, normally he's a defensive tackle, so they're just moving personnel around to confuse this Plum Mustang offense.
We saw Eggleston a week ago drop back into zone coverage. That was an impressive sight. Low shotgun snap, but Fuhrer has time as he looks to his left. The pass again is intended for Nolan, incomplete as it sails over his right shoulder, and that brings up 4th down and 7 for the Mustangs.
And one thing I like that Woodland Hills did on that last play is they actually got into bump and run coverage, which is something we rarely see from Woodland Hills on defense.
Nolan the punt for the Mustangs.
So Nolan stands at his own 23-yard line. I've seen Nolan have a couple of issues with the punt snaps, and he'll boom into this one, end-over-end kick. Comes to the near sideline, and again, Woodland Hills is going to have good field position as the official keeps moving to the 49-yard line, where it'll be 1st down and 10 for Woodland Hills. Again, a short field for the black and turquoise.
Yeah, I always like when those referees come along the sidelines to spot the ball. Kind of reminds me of the old Price is Right game where the mountain climber keeps going until he falls off the edge.
You used to yodel along with him, right?
I wasn't going to do that.
Oh, good. You should. Our viewers and listeners, I think, would like it. 1st down and 10 for Woodland Hills with the ball at their own 49-yard line. Jake Cassidy is the center, 6 feet, 299 pounds. He is a junior at the center spot, pistol formation. Randall, off of play action, steps up into the pocket, throws it, it's complete. It's Mike Smith to the far sideline, brought down at the 31-yard line, and Mike Smith, the receiving tight end, comes up with his first catch of the year, and he is brought down. They're going to spot him at the 30.
And Harry Randall threw a bullet to Mike Smith. I don't think Mike Smith was ready for the velocity of that pass by Harry Randall.
First catch of the season for Smith. Harry Randall now a perfect 3 for 3 in the air for 44 yards. Randall has been super efficient over the past 3 games passing the football. Pistol formation. Randall runs to the left. He'll gather himself, throw it into the end zone, intended for Chris Davis. There's a collision, but that ball uncatchable, and that brings up 2nd down and 10 for Woodland Hills. And the incomplete pass is the first of the game for Harry Randall.
And you're right, Adam. He has been efficient since the McKeesport game. Didn't really get a chance to get his feet underneath him in terms of passing against Upper St. Clair. But the last 3 games, he has been on fire when it comes to passing the ball.
So 2nd down and 10 for Woodland Hills as the umpire spots the ball at the Plum 30-yard line. Woodland Hills has spent the majority of the evening inside of Mustang territory. Pistol formation, 2 receivers to the far boundary right. It's Sanders behind Randall. Randall hands off. Sanders hesitates, now bursts through a hole inside of the 25, and he will push his way close to 1st down yardage. They'll mark him down at the 22-yard line, a gain of 8, and that brings up 3rd down and 2.
Yeah, he left. Miles Sanders just left the defensive end for Mustang, the left defensive end for the Plum Mustangs, hugging air, because he had a good beat on Miles Sanders as he came across the line, but just put a quick move to his inside and picked up pretty close to 1st down territory.
Just an incredible burst by Miles Sanders to get through that hole to pick up those 8 yards. Again, it's 3rd and 2 for the Wolverines. Ball at the Mustang 22. 2 receivers to the left of the formation. Sanders will take the handoff, bouncing to the near side. First down yardage and more as he is dragging Mustangs inside of the 20 to the 19. And that brings up
Sanders, who's
a first down and 10 for Woodland Hills at the Mustang 19-yard line.
A group of white shirts led by William Irvin and Nathan Turchik making the defense.
Miles Sanders with that gain of 3 now has 97 yards on the ground. Just one game thus far this season, Fred, where we haven't seen Miles Sanders gain 100 yards. That was in week 2 against McKeesport, but he had 90 yards, so he's averaging about 125 yards a game.
Yeah, he's just done a great job of, you know, being the man that they need him to be for this offense.
Shotgun formation, sidecars to either side. The snap goes awry. It looked like Harry Randall dove on top of it as the snap carried a little bit to the left. And there's some extracurriculars battling for the football between Hunter Fenk and Harry Randall. And it's going to be Randall.
By Harry Randall.
Will be credited with a 4-yard loss after an errant shotgun snap by Jake Cassidy.
And that was the first real mistake that we've seen by this Woodland Hills offense. They've been pretty crisp through the first quarter and a half, so they're doing a great job.
Loss of about 5 on the play.
So it's second down and 14. Sidecars to either side of Randall. They'll send a man in motion in Tompkins from left to right. It'll be the same jet sweep, but a different back. Tompkins on the cutback, dancing his way forward, still on his feet, and they're going to mark him down at the 11-yard line. A pickup of 8 for Art Tompkins.
Art Tompkins, who dances his way forward on the play.
Yeah, Woodland Hills has had a lot of success with that jet sweep between Art Tompkins and Miles Sanders, and I don't think they're going to stop running it at all throughout the course of the season, because it's been effective so far in this game.
Initial spot was the 11. They'll move it back to the 12. So it is a pickup.
Nose of the football on the Plum 12-yard line.
Of about 9 on that play. Excuse me, a gain of 10 on that play for Art Tompkins. Handoff will go to Joel Shaw, and Joel Shaw barreling inside of the 5. Brought down near the 2-yard line. Shaw, the big fullback, gives Woodland Hills the ball. First and goal at the 3.
Yeah, last year Woodland Hills had Alex Beasley as the change of pace / bruiser back. This year Joel Shaw is picking up right where he left off.
First
Joel Shaw, 3 carries, 25 yards.
Nose of the
Not too
football
bad.
on the Plum 3-yard line.
And Woodland Hills will bring on the field goal unit. As tradition would have it, Coach Novak likes to call the dogs off early and, more importantly, get that field goal unit some work in real game situations. Randall is the holder. Cassidy is the kicker. And a timeout is called, I do believe. Now it's going to be a delay of game against Woodland Hills.
Against the Black, 5-yard.
So that 5-yard penalty pushes Woodland Hills back from the 3 to the 8. And Cassidy will stay on to attempt the longer field goal. So Jake Cassidy is the long snapper here, Fred, is that correct? Or is it Stephen Rickard?
I believe it's Stephen Rickard.
This will be a 25-yard field goal attempt. Nice snap, good hold, and that kick is up, and that kick is good. And with 6:13 to play in the second quarter, it's Woodland Hills 30 and Plum 0. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Mustangs on the Woodland Hills Football Network.
Woodland Hills Wolverines lead the Mustangs of Plum 30-0.
.6:13 to play in the second quarter. Woodland Hills on top of Plum 30-0. The Wolverines have taken full advantage of every mistake the Plum Mustangs have made, with the exception of one. So it's been a pretty good evening for Woodland Hills thus far, and they certainly had an opportunity to score a touchdown on that last drive, but Coach Novak calling off the dogs a little bit, brought on Cassidy to attempt, which was initially a 20-yard field goal, ends up being a 25-yard field goal.
Yeah, the reason why we had to note that the snapper is number 68, Stephen Rickards, because Jimmy Rooney's out and he handles all of the long snapping duties for Woodland Hills.
Kick by Cassidy, carries inside of the 5. It's Zachary Kuhn on the return. Kuhn's had some nice returns today, but this one will not be one of them as he's undercut by DeJohn Brown at the 24-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Mustangs at that point.
And that's a great job of the Woodland Hills kickoff team to get themselves down there and keep the Plum Mustangs, quote unquote, in check on that last return.
30-0, Woodland Hills on top of Plum. Mustangs out of the huddle with 6:07 to play in the second quarter. Shotgun formation, Fuhrer with a sidecar to his left in Turchik. 3 receivers to the left of Fuhrer. Hard count by Fuhrer. Straight drop back, looks to his left, throws to his left. The pass is intended for Jason Hubner, and Hubner not able to hang on to it as he was sliding to the turf around the 30-yard line. And the incomplete pass brings up second down and 10.
And I really like what Plum is doing, even though being down 30-0, they're still trying to get themselves back into this game by going to the air. I mean, Woodland Hills has had teams have had some success against Woodland Hills through the air, so Plum is just going to take their chances as well.
And that was Patrick Crossy, incidentally, not Hubner, who dropped that football for the Mustangs side backfield behind William Fuhrer. Fuhrer lost the snap. A scrum for the football, and the Mustangs come out of there with it as Fuhrer falls on top of it. Credit the tackle for the Wolverines, Laquan Bowden. Loss of 3 on that play brings up third down and 13.
That's something that Plum's going to want to work on at the halftime, is a center quarterback exchange, because there's been numerous times where there's been some bobbles or mishandled snaps by the quarterback.
Billy Bob Baird is the center for Plum, and he has snapped every football of this game thus far. It's not like he's a new center in there. But the Mustangs have had some issues with the under-center exchange. Shotgun formation, trips to the left. Fuhrer looks to his left. That pass in and out of the hands of the intended receiver, Zachary Kuhn. And Fred, we have seen a lot of drops today by the Plum Mustangs. A lot of these incompletions do not fall on the shoulders of William Fuhrer.
No, William Fuhrer has done a great job of getting himself, trying to get his team in a positive position to get some yardage and sustain some drives, but the Plum receivers are just not helping him out right now.
But the incomplete pass brings up fourth down and 12 with the ball at the 22.
I think I might have saw a case of the Gator arms on that last play, Adam.
Zachary Nolan on to punt it away, stands at his own 8. Harry Randall back deep. The snap is low. Nolan has trouble with it. It's tipped away from Nolan. The ball is loose on the ground. It's picked up by a Kyra McLean, and McLean had it stripped away, and then out of bounds it will go in the end zone along this near sideline. And I do believe it'll be a touchback and Plum Mustang football.
Plum got very lucky on that last play. A good job by the punt return team of converging on a bad snap. The Plum's had issues with that all day. Akira McLean picked up the ball, thought there was nobody behind him, but I believe number 14, Andrew Sockman, stripped the ball away from him, forcing it out of the side of the end zone. Touchback Plum.
So the Mustangs will have the ball, first down and 10 at their own 20-yard line. So who had the forced fumble, Fred?
Number 14.
Andrew Socksman. So the Mustangs with a new drive, as there was a change of possession, and then the Mustangs get it back. Again, first and 10 at their own 20 with 5:10 to play. And the handoff will go to the second man through the hole, and that ball carrier is Nathan Turchik. And Turchik with a pickup of 4 to the 24-yard line.
Works his way up the middle
and that's the first positive gain in a long time for the Plum Mustangs. Turchik, 6 carries for 20 yards thus far today for the Mustangs.
Yeah, I believe that's the first run they've had against this Woodland Hills defense in a couple of drives. They've been trying to put the ball in the air, haven't been very successful, so they figured they might as well go back to the ground.
Shotgun formation, Fuhrer, sidecars to either side. The handoff will go to Nicholas Coxon. Oh no, that's going to be Nicholas Myers, the ball carrier. And Myers picks up 3 to the 27-yard line. And that brings up third down and 3 for the Plum Mustangs.
Yeah, it looks like things are starting to get a little chippy out there with these two teams. One being up as big as they are. Just got to make sure that these guys keep their heads, make sure they don't take any stupid penalties.
Osbrooks in on the tackle for Woodland Hills. Also in there, I believe, was Jihad Brown. Check that. That was Malik Flowers, the D-back, on the tackle. Shotgun formation. Fuhrer with 2 receivers to his left, hard count. And the Wolverines encroach the neutral zone. And unless there was movement we didn't see by the Mustangs, it'll be first down.
Encroachment against Woodland Hills, 5 yard, first down.
It'll be 1st and 10 for the Plum Mustangs at the 32 after the Wolverine penalty.
And Woodland Hills hasn't made too many mistakes in this game in terms of penalties. They just need to keep a cool head right now. Make sure things don't get out of control and start taking stupid penalties like I mentioned earlier.
3:30 to go as the clock winds here in the second quarter. Woodland Hills 30, Plum 0. Shotgun formation, sidecars to either side of Fuhrer. 2 receivers to the left, 1 to the near boundary right. Fuhrer looks to his left the whole way. Looks across the middle now. He'll find the big tight end, and with the reception is Zachary Nolan, and that's the first completed pass in a long time for the Plum Mustangs.
Yeah, this time Plum decided to keep it short. What they did was flare the back out of the backfield, which caused the linebacker to come up on him, and then that's when the inside slot receiver just settled in for an 8-yard gain. Sorry, 6-yard gain.
Fuhrer, 3 completions today for 28 yards. He's got a ton of incompletions. 2 receivers left, 1 to the near side right. Shotgun formation. Hand off on the draw. The ball carrier, Turchik. Turchik, first down yardage and more as he carries it across the 45 to the 47-yard line.
His handoff goes to the junior Nathan Turchik.
So Turchik with a nice pickup there from the 39 to the 47, an 8-yard gain. And Turchik now with 28 yards on the ground.
Yeah, in terms of running the ball, the Plum Mustangs are just running some misdirections right now with the counters, but they're doing a great job up front of just keeping Woodland Hills, the front 7 away from their running back.
Folks on the radio side, don't forget, stay tuned for the Woodland Hills Football Network halftime show. If you're watching on television live, you can always watch the marching band. Handoff will go to the back, and Nicholas Myers, and Myers into open field. Has the ball nearly hacked away from him. But first down yardage and more for Myers. A touchdown saving tackle by Woodland Hills' Jordan Lee. And it's first down and 10 for the Mustangs with the ball at the 38.
It's good to see a little life by the Plum Mustangs. As they were down 30-0, we thought they might just, go away. But they've shown a lot of life on this last drive after knocking the ball out of the back of the end zone after a missed opportunity by Woodland Hills.
Kyra McLean with the fumble gave Plum the ball back at their own 20. The Mustangs motion 3 men to the left of the formation. Fuhrer straight drop back. Feels some phantom pressure, steps up into the pocket, throws it deep down the middle, and the pass is intended for Patrick Crossy, but nobody really in the vicinity of the football, and that incomplete pass brings up second down and 10 with 96 seconds to play in the first half.
Yeah, I thought Fuhrer was going to actually try to run and get some positive yardage out of that, but at the last second, he saw a receiver in the seam and thought he could hit him, turned his feet. Unfortunately, he overthrew the receiver.
And he got hit hard as he released the football. A Woodland Hills linebacker who was in zone coverage stepped up and put the shoulder right into the midsection of Fuhrer, the QB. Trips to the right, 1 receiver to the far boundary left. Fuhrer, pressured, hit, knocked down by James Eggleston. Eggleston didn't wrap him, he just knocked him down. Kyra McLean cleaned it up.
James Eggleston in the backfield.
So a loss on that play back to the 48. It's a loss of 10, and it's third down and 20.
Yeah. Woodland Hills sent all front 7 of their guys on a blitz on that last play. And like you said, Eggleston sort of slapped Fuhrer to the ground. And a good job by Kyra McLean of just cleaning everything up.
So it's third down and 20 for the Mustangs. Clock rolling down towards a minute to play in the second quarter. Woodland Hills on top 30-0. Trips to the right of the formation. 1 receiver to the far numbers left. Sidecar to the left of Fuhrer. Good snap. Fuhrer pressured, hit as he releases the football, and it's intercepted along the near hash. With that pick, it is Malik Flowers, and it's first and 10 for Woodland Hills with the ball at their own 38-yard line. So the Mustangs got something rolling, but the Wolverines stymie it with some pressure and an INT.
It was a good job of Flowers of just basically reading Fuhrer's eyes. He saw where he was going and just undercut the route and got himself an interception.
So Woodland Hills with the football, 50 seconds to play in the quarter. Wolverines with the ball at their 38. Incidentally, this may be their worst starting field position of the game, and it is. Jeremiah Jones, the reserve QB in the game with trips to the right of the formation. And the handoff will go to the tailback, Nigel Henderson. And Henderson with a first down as he carries it to the 50-yard line, a pickup of 12, and it's first down and 10 for the Wolverines after that 12-yard pickup by Nigel Henderson.
This is our first action of seeing Nigel Henderson carry the ball this season. I actually thought he was going to get called for a little bit of a motion penalty because he was rocking in his two-point stance, but once the ball was snapped and he got good vision of the field, he just burst up the field for a good first down.
This likely will be the final play of the half unless Woodland Hills scores. And a false start by the right tackle for Woodland Hills, and that is a reserve right tackle in Eric Mitchell, 6'3", 303 sophomore.
False start against Woodland Hills, 5 yards, still first down.
And the ball marked back to the 45-yard line. And the clock will wind, and that should be the final play of the half, that Nigel Henderson 12-yard pickup. Jeremiah Jones bringing the Wolverines to the line. Clock under 10 seconds. 5 seconds to go. And that'll do it. Woodland Hills heads to the locker room on top of the Plum Mustangs, 30-0. And Fred, before we go to the break, an awesome first half for Woodland Hills. Definitely their best 2 quarters of the season.
Yeah, defensively they're bending a little bit, but not breaking. They're finding ways to force Plum into some mistakes. Offensively, they're just doing everything that they need to do right now to get points on the board.
And we talk about the offense for Woodland Hills. Obviously, Miles Sanders is a key cog to that offense. We've seen Harry Randall chip in, but more importantly, some of the other guys, including Joel Shaw and Art Tompkins and even Nigel Henderson now carrying the football for the Black and Turquoise.
Yeah, it's not your typical Miles Sanders, Harry Randall show. Everyone's getting involved. I definitely like seeing Joel Shaw running the ball tough, getting those tough yards right up the middle.
I'm excited to see Jeremiah Jones in the second half, Fred.
He's a young quarterback, but he's seen some game time here and there, usually mop-up duty, but that's pretty much the future quarterback for Woodland Hills, so it's going to be interesting to see what he can do in the second half.
Just a sophomore, and it'll be exciting to see him get 24 minutes of action. Again, your halftime score, 30-0, Woodland Hills on top of Plum. Folks on the television side, if you're watching live, enjoy the bands. If you're watching a replay, we'll be right back with the second half. Folks on the radio side, we'll be right back with the Woodland Hills Football Network halftime show. Again, it's 30-0, Woodland Hills on top of Plum. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Mustangs on the Woodland Hills Football Network. And we welcome you back all across the Woodland Hills Football Network as Woodland Hills leads Plum 30-0. Adam Gusky and Fred Guy on the call for you. And we thank you for joining us no matter where you are, whether it's on our flagship radio station, AM 1550 WZUM, on the web at woodlandhillsfootballnetwork.com or msasports.net, or on our television affiliates. Monroeville Comcast Cable Channel 13, Penn Hills Comcast Cable Channel 98, or Verizon Fios Channel 37. And of course on our stream and our YouTube archive. And we are back underway here in Turtle Creek, PA for the second half. It's Woodland Hills 30 and Plum 0. Harry Randall on the return of the kickoff from his own 14-yard line. Randall into open field, 45-50, 45-40, 35-30, 25-20, 15, 10, 5, end zone, touchdown Woodland Hills.
Oh.
And there is a block, a foul for an illegal block here along the near sideline. And the kicker goes down and he is shaken up. Jacob Chapla. And the Wolverine fans don't like the call. The Plum Mustangs fans did certainly beg for the call, and I don't agree with the call.
Against Woodland Hills.
So it's going to be a 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. And Fred, let's take a look at this television replay and see if this was kosher, if you will.
The penalty was called on Miles Sanders for, I'm assuming, an illegal block. I didn't see it. Miles Sanders was step for step with Harry Randall as he crossed midfield. But as the kicker was coming to tackle Harry Randall, Miles Sanders just came back and everything, he looked like he was in front of him. I don't know if it was because it was a defenseless blocker or tackler, whatever the case may be, but I just thought that was a bad penalty and a great run by Harry Randall.
So a touchdown run on a kickoff return negated. And that is very unfortunate because Miles Sanders put his shoulder into the face mask of the Plum kicker, so it should have been an 85-yard kickoff return for a touchdown for Harry Randall. Instead, it's the Wolverine offense on the field at the Plum 39. Art Tompkins, jet sweep right to left. They'll run to the far sideline, sliding through Plum Mustangs, picking up positive yardage as he races his way towards the 46-yard line. A pickup of 3 on the play, and it's second down and 7.
Yeah, good job of Art Tompkins of picking up those 3 yards because he was actually dead to rights in the backfield, but was able to make a couple nice moves and get himself across the line of scrimmage for a 3-yard gain.
Very unfortunate. Again, we're going to take a look at the replay on the television side. Miles Sanders puts his shoulder in front of the Plum kicker, and an illegal block in the back for putting your shoulder in front of a kicker. Well, I guess when it's 30-0, it doesn't mean that much. Wolverines with the ball. Joel Shaw takes the handoff from reserve QB Jeremiah Jones, and Shaw's going to pick up a couple of yards, make it a trio of yards to the 23-yard line, and it's third down and 4 for Woodland Hills after that pickup of 3.
Yeah, and we're going to be calling a lot of names that we haven't called a lot so far in this season. It looks like Woodland Hills has decided to go with their second-team offense to start the third quarter.
Fourth carry of the game for Joel Shaw, 28 yards on those 4 carries. 160 yards of rushing in the first half for Woodland Hills, 44 yards in the air, 204 yards of total offense. Compare that with the Mustangs, who just had 25 yards of offense in the first 2 frames. Jeremiah Jones rolls to his right, throws, and reaching down and grabbing a hold of that pass is Heaven Price. And Jeremiah Jones' pass is complete for a pickup of 8, and it's first and 10 for Woodland Hills with the ball at the 25.
A risky pass by Jones, but that was a great catch by Price. Going away from Jones, got down as low as he possibly could to pick up that ball off the turf and get himself a first down.
Football's on the 25-yard line.
Sidecar to the left of Jeremiah Jones is Joel Shaw, twins to either side. Shaw appears to be changing the play at the line of scrimmage. Handoff, Shaw straight up the middle. He's got a lot of room inside of the 15, brought down around the 12-yard line. It'll be a pickup of 13 for Joel Shaw, the H-back for the Wolverines.
You know, Adam, from time to time, you and I like to look to the future of this Woodland Hills team. And with 2 up-and-coming, we have 1 established running back in the Whippeal with Miles Sanders and an up-and-comer with Joel Shaw. The next 2.5, 3 years are going to look really nice for Woodland Hills in the backfield.
Don't forget, Nigel Henderson will have another year to go. He is just a junior. Sidecar to the left of Jones is Shaw. Trips to the right. Hard count by Jeremiah Jones, and the Mustangs appear to have encroached the neutral zone.
Dead ball foul, encroachment against the white, 5-yard penalty.
So that penalty will move the ball inside of the 10 to the 7-yard line, where it'll be first and 5 for Woodland Hills. It's 30-0 Woodland Hills on top of Plum. Adam Gusky and Fred Guy on the call for you all across the Woodland Hills Football Network. Just over 9 minutes to play. A score here for the Wolverines, a touchdown here, in fact, for the Wolverines, will result in the modified timekeeping system. Little high snap, handoff as Shaw takes it from Jones, and Shaw barrels his way into the end zone. The official on the far sideline says it's a touchdown, and it is a Woody High TD. And Joel Shaw, his first touchdown of the season, and Woodland Hills is on top 36-0 with just under 9 minutes to play in the third quarter.
And Adam, as I was looking at the offensive line for Woodland Hills, they've got number 57, Eric Mitchell, Victor Bilberry, Wilford Clark. You know, these are some guys that haven't seen a lot of time, and with Clark and Mitchell, these guys are sophomores, so they're getting a chance to get some experience in this game, which is going to be tremendous help for them going on for the rest of the season.
Donald Cassidy, PAT up and in, and with 8:56 to play in the third quarter, it's Woodland Hills 37 and Plum 0. You're tuned in to the Wolverines and the Mustangs all across the Woodland Hills Football Network. 8:56 to play in the third quarter. Woodland Hills on top of Plum 37-0. Adam Gusky and Fred Guy on the call for you. The most recent score, a 7-yard touchdown run by Joel Shaw. Shaw, his first touchdown of the season. He has 48 yards rushing today on just 6 carries.
I mean, he's just been a bruising back for Woodland Hills. Like we said, last year they had to change of pace with Miles Sanders
and Alex Beasley.
Alex Beasley, thank you. This year they're going to do the same with Joel Shaw and you know, the stable of running backs that they have: Tompkins, Sanders, and Randall.
Cassidy booms into this one. It will carry to the 11-yard line where it's returned by Zachary Kuhn. Kuhn to the far sideline, tripped up around the 20-yard line, gathers himself as he heads up towards the 25. Tackle on the play by Dante Broadus, where it'll be first down and 10 for the Mustangs at their own 24.
And it looks like Woodland Hills wants to try to preserve that 0 on the scoreboard, so they're starting out with their first-team defense to start the third quarter.
And we are under the modified timekeeping system, otherwise known as the Mercy Rule. It's 37-0, Woodland Hills on top, and anytime you lead by more than 35 in the second half, the clock rolls, other than on changes of possession after scores and after timeouts. Fuhrer steps under center, eye backfield behind him, 2 receivers to the near side left. Fuhrer calls out signals for the Mustangs. Looks to his left, the pass is caught by Patrick Crossy, and Crossy carries it across the 25 to the 27 to pick up 3 yards.
And it looks like Plum's coming out in a spread offense with trying to throw the ball. They're not going to try to throw the ball downfield on this Woodland Hills secondary because they've been really good in terms of coverage. Where they have been successful is the short dink and dunk passes that Woodland Hills just isn't getting a man out to these receivers.
Second reception of the game for Crossy, 2 catches, 21 yards. Fuhrer now 4 of 13 for 31 yards. Fuhrer will hand off. The tailback is Myers, and Myers over right tackle barrels his way forward to the 30-yard line. A pickup of 3, and it's third down and 4 for the Mustangs.
Yeah, where Plum has had limited success against this Woodland Hills defense has actually been on the ground. They've actually been able to put some drives together based off of the running game.
Gain of about 3 of the play. Third and 4, Plum.
Coming to the near sideline, William Fuhrer, the junior quarterback for Plum, gets the call from Matt Morgan and his staff. Shotgun formation, trips to the left. Fuhrer placing fullback Zachary Martin in place. Straight drop back. Fuhrer straight across the middle. The pass is complete. Paying the price is Zachary Kuhn, but Kuhn holds on to the football. A pickup of 7 yards, and it's first and 10 for Plum.
And that was a great job of Zach Kuhn of recognizing the fact that Woodland Hills linebackers were on a blitz, and he saw the middle of the field wide open. Just ran in the middle of the field, sat himself down, made a nice catch, and got the Plum Mustangs a first down.
Kuhn, first catch of the day. He had a crucial fumble on the opening kickoff. He carried the ball all the way to the midfield stripe. It was then knocked away by a Kyra McLean, recovered by the Wolverines. Jihad Brown, and the Wolverines scored just 2 plays later. Hard count by Fuhrer. Woodland Hills into the neutral zone. Eggleston encroaches, as does Laquan Bowden.
Dead ball foul, encroachment against Black, 5 yards.
Fred, one thing that we've noticed thus far for Woodland Hills today isn't that they're making a lot of mistakes, but they're still committing a lot of those pre-snap penalties. We saw a ton of them a week ago as well at Bethel Park. A lot of them came on an illegal shift, but Wolverines seem to have settled that down on the offensive end, but have encroached the neutral zone a lot on the defensive side.
Yeah, they're just making aggressive penalties right now. I mean, you really can't fault a kid for trying to be aggressive, on a pre-snap penalty, but Woodland Hills just needs to calm down and relax and let this game come to them.
First and 5, ball at the 42, draw handoff. The ball carrier, Zachary Martin. Martin driving his way forward, a pickup of about 7 yards to the 49-yard line. And Martin, second carry of the game. First carry was for -3. And now he has 4 yards in total.
Yeah, right now we're seeing a little bend in the Woodland Hills defense. I mean, Plum's not really doing anything, they're not using any trick plays like Bethel Park did a week ago. They're just running counters and traps against this Woodland Hills defense and having success with it.
Draw handoff again. It is Zachary Martin, the ball carrier. Martin, a pickup of 2 into Woodland Hills territory. Third time we've seen the Mustangs move the ball into Woodland Hills territory. They have not been able to do much with it once they do so. As it's 37-0 Woodland Hills with 4:24 to play on a rolling clock here in the third quarter.
That'll put the ball in the Woodland Hills territory.
3 carries, 6 yards today for Zachary Martin. Martin, the sidecar to the left of Fuhr, twins to either side. Motion man from left to right is Zachary Kuhn. Low snap, Fuhr on a screen. Pass too high, it's intended for Zachary Kuhn. And Deshaun Osbrooks did a nice job of reading that screen. Had Kuhn caught the football, I'm pretty sure Osbrooks would have brought him down for a loss of about 1 on the play.
Yeah, I don't think Fuhr expected the massive rush that he got out of the Woodland Hills defense, because even though it was it's a screen and it's designed to let the opposing players in, the Woodland Hills defense just came at him full force, which I think it actually caused a bad pass by Fuhr.
Being a former offensive lineman, I know that on a screen play, you're supposed to hold your block for 2 seconds, then let the man go and run upfield. 3rd down and 8, ball at the Woodland Hills 49. Fuhr looks to his right. The pass intended for Zachary Martin is incomplete. Fuhr was hit as he released the football, and that incomplete pass brings up 4th down and 8. The punt unit comes on for the Mustangs.
A great job of the Woodland Hills defense, inside linebackers, to get a lot of pressure on quarterback Bill Fuhr. They've just done a great job of just finding gaps and exploiting them. And I think Deshaun Osbrooks might have changed the trajectory of that ball as Fuhr was letting it go.
Zachary Nolan stands back at his own 37. Best punt snap of the game. And this a sky-high knuckling punt that will bounce at the 40-yard line, roll back towards the midfield stripe where it will be down by Zachary Nolan. And that is a punt. Let's see where they spot the ball. At the 48, a punt of 0 yards, or 1 yard, excuse me. A 1-yard punt for Zachary Nolan.
I'm extremely shocked that there were 4 Woodland Hills Wolverines around the football and just the punter Nolan standing back there. I thought one of them might have tried to pick it up, followed his blockers right into the end zone.
2:21 as the clock begins to roll here in the third quarter. Woodland Hills up 37-0. They have the ball at their own 48-yard line. Pistol formation, Nigel Henderson, the ball carrier, taking it into Mustang territory to the 48 before he's driven back by a wave of white jerseys. Lots of first-teamers out there for the Mustangs. Not the same story for the black and turquoise, though, but still a gain of 4 for Nigel Henderson, 2nd carry of the game for the junior tailback. 3rd on the depth chart. Saw a lot of action against Upper St. Clair, but this may be his first offensive action we have seen carrying the football since week 1.
Yeah, I think right now Woodland Hills just has underclassmen on that offensive line, and as you can tell, Adam, if we're looking at it right on the 40-some yard line, looked like they were the right side of the line was lined up in the backfield.
Jeremiah Jones looks to his left, throws to his left, a nice pass down that far boundary, a nice adjustment to the football, and you'll credit that catch for the Wolverines. On the far sideline on the catch, Chris Wilson, the sophomore, brought down at the 25-yard line.
Yeah, like you said, Adam, he made a great adjustment. Jeremiah Jones was just trying to find some, find some room to get his feet set, and deliver a ball down the field. And once he did, number 17, Chris Wilson again made just a nice adjustment on the ball.
23-yard pass play as Jones finds Wilson. Jones 2 for 2 for 31 yards. Handoff, Henderson on the draw. He'll drive his way inside of the 25, close to the 24-yard line, gain of about a half yard.
Jones handoff goes to junior Nigel Henderson.
And I'm not sure, Fred, I don't want to speak out of turn, but as we take a look out there, the majority of the offensive linemen that are out there did not start this football game. Jake Cassidy is the only Wolverine on the field right now that started today's game, and that was because he was in instead of Jimmy Rooney, who was hurt a week ago.
Yeah, as I'm looking over the roster, it's sophomore, junior, sophomore, everything else. I mean, everybody that started the game is basically on the sideline and done for today.
Jeremiah Jones, the ball carrier, as he takes it around left end, picks up 9 yards, and it's 3rd down and 1 for the Wolverines. Jones, his first carry of the game. Jeremiah Jones, younger brother of Robert Morris quarterback Paul Jones, incidentally. We'll talk more about that when we head to the fourth quarter. It's 37-0. Woodland Hills on top of Plum. We'll be right back with the fourth quarter all across the Woodland Hills Football Network, including MSASports.net. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Mustangs on the Woodland Hills Football Network. Guy on the call for you as we are set to begin the fourth quarter. And thank you for tuning in on all of our affiliates, including WoodlandHillsFootballNetwork.com. It's 3rd down and 1 for the Wolverines with the ball deep inside of Mustang territory at the 16. Jeremiah Jones said it moments ago. He is the quarterback for the Wolverines, the reserve, but his older brother Paul is the starting quarterback for Robert Morris University, and he's looked pretty good through his first 3 starts of the year. Jones, draw handoff. Nigel Henderson inside of the 15, cutting it to the far side. Dodges a man at the 5 and into the end zone. He will go for the Woodland Hills TD, a 16-yard touchdown for Nigel Henderson.
Excellent job of Nigel Henderson of using his vision to get himself into the end zone. He made about 4 or 5 Plum Mustangs miss on his way to the end zone. He just kept catching the Plum Mustangs in some over pursuit and just kept making nice moves to get himself into the end zone.
Donald Cassidy on to attempt the point after touchdown. Out of the hold of Harry Randall, I do believe. Cassidy's kick is up and good, and with 11:45 to play in regulation, it's Woodland Hills 44 and Plum 0. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Mustangs on the Woodland Hills Football Network.
Woodland Hills touchdown drive encompassed 5 plays and 52 yards.
It's 44-0. Woodland Hills on top of the Plum Mustangs. A 16-yard touchdown run by Nigel Henderson, his first TD of the season. And a 16-yard touchdown run by Nigel Henderson puts the Wolverines up 16, or 44-0, excuse me. I glanced at the scoreboard, there's a 16 up there, because that's where the ball was snapped on the previous play. Adam Gusky, Fred Guy on the call for you. This game well in control for the Wolverines, and the Wolverines, in all likelihood, will move to 2-2 on the season, and more importantly, 2-1 in the Southeastern Conference.
And the most promising thing that I've seen so far out of this Woodland Hills offense in the second half is the fact that the younger guys are getting a taste of what the end zone's like in a varsity game.
Kickoff by Cassidy, carries inside of the 10 to the 8-yard line, where it's returned by Zachary Kuhn, and Kuhn is tripped up from behind as he crosses the 25 towards the 28-yard line. Jihad Brown on the tackle for the Wolverines. Brown is second big special teams play of the game. Of course, his first one was even bigger on the fumble recovery on the first play of the affair.
And it looks like the reserves for Woodland Hills have come in on defense after pitching continuing to pitch a shutout through, 3 quarters plus. They decided to take the rest of the night off as well.
So Plum with the ball at their own 27, clock rolling down towards 11 minutes to go in regulation. First team offense still out there for the Mustangs. Fuhrer under center with an eye backfield behind him. The ball carrier is Zachary Martin, and he runs into a wave of his own offensive lineman. He'll shove his way forward for a pickup of about 2 to the 29, and 2nd down and 8.
Leading the charge for the Wolverines.
Yeah, it's a good, and the second team of defense of the Woodland Hills Wolverines is doing an excellent job against the first team of the Plum Mustangs so far.
Gain of about 2 on the play. 2nd and 8, Plum.
Mustangs out of the huddle. Shotgun formation, William Fuhrer with a sidecar to his left, and that is Zach Martin. Trips to the left, 1 receiver to the near side right. Fuhrer pumps, pressured, rolls to the near side. He'll be wrapped, and he will be brought down shy of the line of scrimmage. Credit the sack to Dejon Brown. A loss of 1 brings up 2nd down, or rather 3rd down and 8.
Senior Dejon Brown.
And this is the first, real action that Dejon Brown has seen this season. He did a great job for Woodland Hills last year in limited action on that first team defense.
3rd and 8.
Saw him see some first team action back against Upper St. Clair in week 1, but it's been mainly the starting 2 up the middle for the Wolverines other than that first game. Shotgun formation, snap low. Fuhrer hit as he looked to release the ball. He'll take off running down the near sideline, 35 to the 40. He is hit hard by Dejon Brown as he comes to the near boundary around the 41-yard line. Slow to get up is William Fuhrer, but he is to his feet. And a pickup of 12 yards for Zach Fuhrer there. First positive carry of the game for Fuhrer, who has -9 yards rushing.
Yeah, Hassan, I'm sorry for mispronouncing his name. Hassan Hannum had pressure on Fuhrer coming straight up the middle on a linebacker blitz, but just wasn't able to get him in the backfield. After that, Fuhrer just tucked the ball and took off.
High backfield behind Fuhrer, receivers to either side. Handoff, straight up the middle goes Zach Martin, and he'll power his way forward before being brought down by Malik Flowers. A pickup on that play of 6 yards to the 20, or to the 47. Now they'll move it to the 48, so actually make it a 7-yard gain, and it's second down and 3.
Yeah, when you get a situation of a number 1 offense versus a number 2 defense, you kind of don't know how to take that because, you know, obviously these, you know, the Plum Mustangs, their first-team offense, have been out there for 3-4 games already. And, you know, most of the guys on the defense are pretty fresh, and this is the first time they're seeing any varsity action.
Under center goes Fuhrer. And the ball carrier hit as he takes the handoff. It's Carlosano. The ball carrier, he'll pick up a yard.
Fuhrer's handoff goes to Nicholas Carlosano.
And Carlosano with that pickup of 1 brings up third down and 2.
Adam McVeigh of the Wolverines.
With the success that Plum has had against the second-team defense on the ground, it'll be interesting to see if they decide to run the ball or maybe try to float a pass out into the flat somewhere.
Under 8 minutes to play here in the fourth quarter. Woodland Hills on top, 44-0. Shotgun formation, snap low. Fuhrer having a tough time picking up. He'll be hit by a trio of Wolverines. He got away initially and then got hit hard by Hassan Ghanem. We talked about him a moment ago, and that time Ghanem made the play, and we apologize if we don't have his name right, but we'll certainly get that straightened out as we look forward. Loss of 4 on the play. Minus 13 yards on the ground today for the QB, William Fuhrer, and the punt unit on for the Mustangs. Zach Nolan on to punt it away from his own 32. Snap slow, but gets there. Spiraling punt. Harry Randall's going to run it down along the far hash at the 17. To the 30, to the 35-40, 45-50, 45-40. Harry Randall 35-30, 25-20, 15, 10, 5, end zone. Harry Randall with a punt return for a touchdown. His first kick return for a TD was negated by a phony penalty. This one, not so much. It's 50-0, Woodland Hills on top.
And what's really funny, Adam, is that exact same situation happened on the far sideline where a Plum receiver just wasn't paying attention. Good block by a Woodland Hills punt return team member. Sprung Harry Randall, even though he was on a dead run anyway. You know, a couple good blocks got him into the end zone. 83-yard touchdown on the punt return by Randall. Cassidy's PAT is up and in with 6:53 to play in regulation. It's Woodland Hills 51 and Plum 0. You're tuned into the Wolverines and the Mustangs on the Woodland Hills Football Network and MSA Sports.
50 seconds left to play.
Adam Gusky, Fred Guy on the call for you. Just under 7 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. It's 51-0, Woodland Hills on top. 51-0, Woodland Hills on top of Plum. It is a 83-yard punt return for a touchdown by Harry Randall. Randall hesitated around the 32, and then it was nothing but green turf in front of him as he raced into the end zone for his second return for a touchdown of the day. This one counts. And again, it's 51-0, Woody High. Plum will get the ball back, 6:53 to go. As Donald Cassidy booms into this one, it'll carry to the 11-yard line where it's returned by Zachary Kuhn. Kuhn running across the grain to the near side. Mike Smith had him around the waist, and Smith will be credited with the tackle as Kuhn comes down along the near boundary at the 34-yard line.
Kuhn will run that ball up there, the 34-yard line.
So it's 1st and 10 for the Mustangs as the clock starts rolling already.
Tackled by Mike Smith of the Wolverines.
And Adam, the one thing I like to see that Harry Randall is doing is he's getting stronger and stronger as each week progresses. He's getting faster. He's getting used to that knee brace that he's never had to wear before. And he's just doing a good job of just being starting to be a leader on this Woodland Hills football team.
1st and 10 for Plum High backfield. New quarterback in. It's William Gooden. Gooden will hand off the ball carrier, Zachary Martin. Martin drives his way forward as he crosses the 40. Heads out towards the 42-yard line, a pickup of 8 for Martin.
Decent yardage up the middle.
And Martin with 23 yards on the ground.
Yeah, Plum Mustangs might have a new quarterback, but they still have the same offensive line. I mean, I've seen number 71, who's been out there all game. Very big kid. Unfortunately, we don't have him on the Plum roster, but he's done a great job against whoever they've put up against him for Woodland Hills.
Eric Trenz playing center. He was not the starting center. Billy Bob Baird did start the junior. Trenz, number 64, is the reserve. Snapping the football.
I think that might be the best name in the conference.
Billy Bob Baird?
Yes.
I'm going to go with it. The ball carrier.
Hand off to Kevin Brown.
I believe it was
dragged down short of the line of scrimmage.
Kevin Brown number 5, ball carrier.
The Wolverines.
Brown with a pickup of 2. It's a 1st down for the Mustangs.
And as I'm looking over the Plum Mustang roster, there's not a lot of seniors on this roster, so I mean, that's going to bode well for Plum over the next couple of years as they get used to their new coaching staff, get used to the system, and hopefully they can get some wins under their belt going on forward for the next couple of years.
High backfield behind reserve quarterback Matthew Gooden. The ball carrier again is Zachary Martin. And Martin drives his way forward for a gain of 9 yards, 2nd down and 1. Yet Martin now the leading rusher for the Plum Mustangs with 32 yards on the ground.
2nd and inches.
And
7 carries.
I keep getting thrown off by the gentleman on the sideline in the yellow hat. Every time the side judge runs past, I think there's a flag on the field, but it's just the gentleman's hat.
So that's what you keep pointing at. Counter comes to the near side. It's again Zach Martin, the ball carrier. Backing his way up, the ball comes loose, and I think Woodland Hills may have fallen on top of it at their own 39-yard line. It is a turnover. Martin with the fumble, the recovery by the Wolverines, and I think coming up with a loose ball, Tariq Thompson, and it's 1st and 10 for the Wolverines.
And that's really lucky that's a really lucky play for the young Wolverines on defense, because Plum was doing a good job of just running counters, running off tackle plays, and just doing a good job of moving the ball down the field. But the opportunistic Wolverines just keep coming up with ways to get the ball back.
3 minutes and 20 seconds to play when Woodland Hills starts their possession. Clock rolls down to 3:10 now. 39-yard line is where the Wolverines will start this drive. Late man comes on. 3rd quarterback on the field for the Wolverines today. The ball carrier running to the far side is Peyton Hicks, the 5'8" sophomore. And Hicks will be forced out of bounds along that far boundary after a pickup of 9. The new quarterback is Deron Cooper, the sophomore.
Hand off to number 29, Peyton Hicks.
And I think right now Woodland Hills is just content with running out the clock. They don't really have anything to prove of trying to put the ball in the air. And as well as we know Coach Novak, he never likes to run up the score on anybody.
2nd and 1, Woodland Hills.
Pistol formation. Deron Cooper with the back behind him. I think that is Hicks with just over 2 minutes to go. Hicks takes the carry, drives his way inside of Mustang territory. It's a 1st down and more, as the ball will be spotted at the 28.
And this is pretty much the same offensive line that Woodland Hills has been using the entire 2nd half. And all of these guys are sophomores and maybe one junior in Cassidy, but they're showing a lot of poise, gelling together in their first action at the varsity level.
1st and 10.
Pistol formation, twins to the right of the set. Cooper with Hicks behind him. Hicks will take the carry again. Hicks, elusive and speedy as he carries it inside of the 45 to the 41-yard line.
Cooper to Hicks.
And the Wolverine offensive line is blowing open holes, and Hicks is taking advantage in his first varsity action. A pickup of 6 yards, and it's 2nd down and 4.
Yeah, it's easy to do that when you're running behind 303, 283, let's see, 330. I mean, these guys they're young, but they're very, very big.
2nd down and 4 for the Wolverines. Our 17th tailback of the night for Woodland Hills will take the ball. They'll cut back. Looked like he had the first down initially and then is brought down. Jeff Saloni, that ball carrier. And they're going to say Salione on the PA, and we'll go with a 2. No gain on the play for Salione. And the clock winding down, under a minute to play here. 35 seconds to play. In fact, Woodland Hills up 51-0 with these 30 seconds to go.
Yeah, it was a good play by Salione to corral that ball after. It looked like initially it might have been bobbled, but good thing for Woodland Hills, they were able to maintain possession.
Cooper hands off. This is the 103rd ball carrier of the game for Woodland Hills. That time it is Larry Lee. Larry Lee should have the last carry of the game, and it's a 4-yard carry and a first down. And that is it. Woodland Hills comes back to the Wolverine after a pair of road games, evens their record at 2-2, and more importantly, they're now 2-1 in Southeast Conference action. A 51-0 victory over the Plum Mustangs. Fred, the Wolverines started early, scored often, and this was exactly what the Wolverines needed to get their legs back out underneath them after a rough 0-2 beginning to the season.
Yeah, they didn't take their foot off the pedal in this game at all. They poured it on. They took advantage of every Plum miscue that came their way with big touchdowns. And even after the halftime, Woodland Hills was still able, with the younger guys, to get some points on the board. The punt return by Harry Randall, obviously it's Harry Randall, so I mean, things are going to happen. But it's good to see that Woodland Hills isn't backing down after this could have been the quote-unquote trap game going into a big game next week against Mount Lebanon. But they stay focused, and they stay focused, and they kept everything in check, and just kept everything going.
Miles Sanders today just under 100 yards. He had a great performance, only saw about a quarter and a half of action, but more importantly, he got those 2 touchdowns to help power the Wolverines to victory. One more time, your final score: Woodland Hills defeats the Plum Mustangs 51-0. Folks, on the television side, we will talk to you again next week as we travel to Mount Lebanon as the Wolverines take on the Blue Devils. It'll be a 7:30 kickoff, and our coverage will start at 7:10. And before we go on the TV side, of course, we've got to thank our television crew, starting with our director and executive producer, Larry George III. Our broadcast engineer and technical director is Lee Schaefer Jr. Our camera operators, Lee Schaefer Jr., Luke Keebler, and Dan McLean. Our still photographer and graphic designer is Joe Slick. I'm Adam Gusky alongside Fred Kai. And the public address announcer here at the Wolverina is Matt Rodriguez. Again, your final score: Woodland Hills 51, Plum 0. Folks, on the TV side, we'll talk to you again next week. On the radio side, stay tuned for the State Senator Jay Costa postgame show. You've been tuned into the Wolverines and the Mustangs on MSA Sports and the Woodland Hills Football Network.